Good morning. As I sort myself out here, welcome back, EQ Skills Clinic. It's been a hot minute since we've done one of these skills clinic. However, you've probably really had your fill of training from me over the last, 7 days. We did 5 days of training last week. We did a couple of bonus sessions this week, Monday and Tuesday. So it feels like we have been hanging out. We have been immersed in all things emotional intelligence for quite some time. But we did skip our EQ Skills Clinic last week. So welcome back to that. If you are new around here, I want to welcome you, first of all, to the EQ Lab, which is our incredible community of women who are ready to master their emotions, communicate fearlessly, and elevate their relationships. The EQ Lab stands for the Emotional Intelligence Lab. We are deeply passionate about all things EQ because we know that the research, the evidence is unwavering that over 85% of our success, both personally and professionally, is tied to our ability to execute on emotional intelligence skills. So we are all about EQ here. You'll notice that everything we do probably has the word EQ or the acronym EQ in it. So I want to welcome you here if you are brand new. The EQ Skills Clinic is a completely free teaching that we deliver every single Thursday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. And we cover different topics related to emotional intelligence. So if you are new to the group or if you are new to the EQ Skills Clinic, our weekly teaching happens every single Thursday. I want you to drop a comment, drop an emoji, let me know. I know that so many of you catch us on the replay. So if you are catching us on the replay, give us a hashtag replay and let us know if today's topic, today's content resonates with you. We are constantly refining the teachings that we do. We're constantly refining our content calendar, our teaching calendar, and we do that by getting feedback from you. So please don't ever hesitate to let us know what is landing, what's resonating, maybe what's not so relevant to you, or the topics that don't interest you all that much. We are always open to that kind of feedback. So within the EQ Skills Clinic, we do 4 different types of skills training. We do emotional mastery training, we do fearless communication training, we do relationship training, and we do leadership training. Today, I'm going to jump right into our training. We are looking at a particular aspect of emotional mastery. This is a critical skill when it comes to emotional mastery. In fact, I would say it's the foundation of emotional intelligence. This I would consider to be the absolute foundation of emotional intelligence. We are talking about emotion regulation. That's a set of skills that we're going to be looking at today. And the topic today is actually the opposite of emotion regulation, and that is emotion activation. Emotional activation. I consider emotional activation to be the kryptonite to our success. And so that's the topic I really want us to dive into today. So, emotional activation, what is it? What does it mean? What does it look like? How can you identify it? That's what I want to teach you today. I want to teach you what emotional activation actually looks like. I do a lot of training, a lot of teaching, a lot of speaking on emotion regulation, which is where we want to move towards. But today I'm really going to focus on emotional activation. So, I'm going to focus on that thing that so many of us can get hooked into that I believe is really getting in the way of our success. And again, that is our success either personally or professionally. So let's dive into today's topic. So, emotional activation, you can think of it this way. One moment, there you are, you're having a perfectly normal conversation, could be with your partner, could be with a family member, could be with your child. And next thing you know, something this other person says triggers you and you begin to lose your sense of groundedness. Okay. But you begin to lose your sense of groundedness. So, having a normal conversation, you're just, talking about something. Perhaps you move into an area that could be a little bit difficult or have some tension, or just something. There's something that other person says that actually triggers emotions inside of you. Okay. So moments later, you are either doing one of these three things. I mean, there's lots of things you could be doing, but here are some three very common things that the women we work with tell us happens to them when they are emotionally triggered. They might find themselves withdrawing, sitting alone in another room, feeling angry, resentful, but doing nothing about it. This is what we would consider the passive communication style. You might be yelling profanities at the top of your lungs, making empty threats and verbally attacking the other person. This is what we call the aggressive communication style. The third thing could be sulking, huffing and puffing, making it really obvious, painfully obvious, even that you are upset. But of course, you are not actually telling the other person how you feel, right? So you're demonstrating how you feel through your nonverbal cues, through your body language, through your facial expressions, maybe even tone of voice, but you're not directly letting that other person know how you feel. This is what we call the passive aggressive communication style. We do a lot of teaching on communication styles. Here's how communication styles intersect with emotional mastery. Okay. So, when you think about these really common examples of being emotionally triggered, this is emotional activation in a nutshell. Okay. This is what emotional activation means. It means something outside of you, it could be a person, it could be an event, triggers an emotional reaction within you, and you are then activated, and that emotional activation pushes you into making certain choices, taking certain actions, and behaving in a certain way. This is what emotional activation actually looks like. So, when we're unable to manage our emotions during difficult conversations, it actually ends up wreaking havoc on our ability to do two things that are really important for us to navigate life. Okay. So when we're unable to manage, to regulate, to calm, to master our emotions in difficult conversations, what ends up happening is it gets in the way of our ability to communicate and to connect. I would love to know if that resonates with you, that when you are emotionally activated, when you're emotionally triggered, when you don't have a handle on your emotions, that it gets in the way of your ability to communicate and to connect. When we're unable to manage our emotions in difficult conversations, it actually then also gets in the way of our ability to foster deeper intimacy in our relationships. It gets in the way of our ability to foster deeper intimacy in our relationships. And if you've spent any time with me here inside the EQ Lab, if you've listened to my podcast, if you follow me on social media, doesn't matter if you're part of my community in some way, you will know that when I talk about intimacy and relationships, I'm not just talking about personal relationships. I'm a proponent of having deeply authentic relationships professionally as well, which requires some level of emotional intimacy, if you will. I think we can have that level of authenticity in our professional relationships as well. We also know that unregulated emotions, so this means emotions that you have not learned to calm, you have not learned to master, that you are still in that activated state. Unregulated emotions not only get in the way of us expressing our needs, our wants, and our desires clearly and congruently, they also block open and honest communication. So if we find ourselves often caught in dysregulated, unregulated emotions, it's important to know that that's going to get in the way of us being able to actually communicate, to express what we want, what we need, what we desire, even our opinions, clearly and congruently. And it ends up really blocking open and honest communication. So, when we're emotionally activated, we're much more likely to say or do things that we don't mean. Okay, we're much more likely to communicate things, to say things without thinking it through. Because remember, when we are in emotional activation, it's harder for us to access our rational brain. We're caught in, if you will, our emotional brain. Okay, we might also behave immaturely. In a lot of the work we do, we talk a lot about being caught in the emotionally reactive girl versus being the emotionally intelligent woman. So we might behave with that level of immaturity like an emotionally reactive girl, and we can fall into toxic communication styles as we looked at the very beginning of today's teaching. We could fall into the passive style of communication, the aggressive style of communication, or the passive aggressive style of communication. So essentially, what I want you to take away from today's teaching is that learning to communicate with confidence begins with emotion regulation. It is the first step. I would say one of the most common outcomes that women that we work with privately are looking for is they're looking for the ability to communicate assertively. They want to be able to communicate from a place of confidence, not from a place of fear. It's one of the biggest things that draw women to our work. It's one of the number one reasons women choose to work with us inside of the EQ code. And one of the paradigm shifts that our private clients need to make right at the outset of our work together is that in order to be able to access and execute on the skills of fearless communication, we always have to start with emotional mastery or emotion regulation. So, this concept of regulating your emotions is really, really important. And that's what lays the foundation for everything else that we do. So, when you're thinking about communication in particular, I want you to remember that communication always starts from our mind, not from our mouth. This is a Shyamalaism, if you will. This is a statement that I make all the time to my private clients is that communication starts from your mind, not from your mouth. What comes out of your mouth in terms of communication is secondary to what's happening in your mind. And emotional activation is something that's happening inside of you. It happens well before you open your mouth. So it's really, really important to remember that. If you've been tracking with us for a while, you have probably heard about our 6-month signature program called the EQ Code, the Emotional Intelligence Code. This is our private coaching program specifically for high-powered women who really want to unlock success in their personal life as well as in their professional life. And if you've been hanging out with us for a little bit right now, you will know that we have currently opened up spaces for enrollment inside of the EQ Code. So I want to take a moment to just tell you a little bit about the program if you've never heard about it. I want to just share a little bit about it, as well as some incredible bonuses that we are offering right now for women who enroll with us. So again, the EQ Code 6-month group coaching program. It is evidence-based and it is built on 3 pillars of success. Pillar number 1, emotional mastery. In this pillar, we teach you exactly how to regulate your emotions, which means remaining calm and confident regardless of external circumstances. Remaining calm and confident regardless of what other people are thinking, regardless of what other people are feeling, regardless of what other people are doing. Okay? This is really teaching you how to master your emotions. Second pillar of success, fearless communication. Probably the number one reason women choose to work with us. We teach you how to communicate your needs. Um, from a place of confidence. We teach you how to ask for what you want, regardless of how difficult that conversation is, so that fear is no longer the driver of those conversations. Fear is no longer the driver of your communication style. Our third and final pillar of success is all about elevated relationships. And in this pillar of success, we teach you exactly how to set up boundaries, how to negotiate and renegotiate your relationships, how to maintain boundaries without that overwhelming feeling of guilt that so many women struggle with. So we do all of this through video lessons, a comprehensive workbook, and skills clinics that happen within each pillar of success, meaning we have emotional mastery skills clinics, we have communication skills clinics, and we have relationship management skills clinics, all delivered directly by me. And this comprehensive program is a step by step approach that will allow you to truly access your most emotionally intelligent self. So our enrollment is still open for one more day. We close enrollment tomorrow, Friday, October 8th at midnight Eastern Time. We have over $6,000 worth of bonuses available to you, including a couple of additional courses, a private one-to-one session, a pay in full bonus, and private Voxer coaching with me directly, which is only typically available exclusively to my high-level one-to-one clients. So if you are interested in this program, if you want to find out if this might be the right next step for you, I want you to reach out to our master coach, Brianna. She is going to drop her link in the comment box below. You can click that link and get on her calendar. If you are unable to find space in her calendar before we close enrollment, please reach out to her directly, and she will do her best to accommodate you. All right, ladies, thank you so much for joining us for this week's teaching, and we will see you again next week. Bye.